Hey y'all, what's up? Your G here. Welcome back to my channel. Your girl is just sitting here laying in bed, and I finally decided, I guess I'm gonna talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. I honestly wasn't, y'all, because the episode didn't really give us too much, literally until the last, 5 minutes between Kandi and Marlo. There is something going on with the production of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Whoever is in charge, I heard, is I guess the person in charge of production for Real Housewives of Atlanta used to be Carlos King's like secondhand person, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what I heard. And if that's so, it explains a lot, because Carlos is over there struggling on OWN and he over here struggling on Bravo. And so I find it real funny that Carlos is talking about, the cons of Real Housewives of Atlanta, but you're not worried about the cons that's happening on your own show, Carlos King. Yours is going down, and so you want to point out what's going down on Bravo. Don't make yours come back up at all. But yeah, you guys, Real Housewives of Atlanta, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm not even gonna try to go over there and do the whole setup. We just gonna do a quick recap of the episode, so that way at least I have a video out about it. And then, I still want to hear what you guys think about what's happening with Marlo and Kandi too. So speaking of, they do a flashback. I love the fact that they did the flashback between Kandi and Marlo's relationship, because we have been seeing this back and forth, and it always is initiated by Marlo starting over something petty and then trying to conflate issues. Marlo is always conflating issues and trying to say one thing triggered her, which is why she's bringing up another issue. But this other issue that she's bringing up doesn't have anything to do with in connection to the real issue that she has with somebody. It's always, well, it reminded me of, or it's trigger, or it hits me where it hit me like this because this happened. And it's like, this life coach, you might need a full-on psychiatrist at this point. The life coach ain't coaching enough. You still got some ways to go, and you're not really absorbing what's going on with your life coach. It's giving real fakery. But for the moment, when they did the flashback, I definitely was here for it. Oh, y'all see how Bravo cut Nene out of this? Bravo said, you know what? Snip, snip, ho. Snip, snip, ho. It ain't nothing to cut that off, okay? They said it ain't nothing to cut that off. They cut Nene clean on out of that. Of course, Nene said something on Twitter, but it's like, girl, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Nobody told you to go out but guns blazing on Bravo. Nobody told you to let out that Andy was, snorting in the bathroom. I mean, although we already knew it, but it's like nobody told you to do that. And then at the same time, you want to call them racist and all these type of things. You wasn't worried about them being racist when them checks was cashing, were you? No. So shut up about it now. Nene went out feeling like that was gonna give her polo tink tink, and then allegedly Nene and her little dude broke up or whatever. So I'll get more information on that. But yeah, so they do the flashback, and they actually have an unseen footage of Marlo actually coming over to Kandi's house. Kandi says some nice things. Marlo's actually real sweet, and we know that her and Marlo have a past, because was Marlo dating Kandi's brother, or Kandi was messing with Marlo's cousin, something or another, where somebody was dating somebody. So basically they've been in each other's lives for a long time. And I also think that's why that plays a little bit into why Marlo's acting the way she does with Kandi, because she feels like girl, I know you, we know each other. I feel like Marlo has a little bit of that going on with her. But we see that Marlo came over, explained the whole nephew getting shot situation. Kandi offered hugs and condolences and whatnot, and that wasn't enough for Marlo, or at least now it isn't. But back then it was okay, but now it's starting to be an issue. So after that, we see a scene with Sonya. See, here's the thing. We need to dig a little bit more into Sonya's storyline. That's where I'm interested in, because there's some meat and potatoes. We're only scratching the surface with Sonya and her sister, really, truth be told. But they're all in the kitchen talking about, Then moving forward, Sonya dropped some information, some great news that she was going to be on Belk.com. And his sister was like excited. It was kind of like a yay, like a real fake yay. But I think a lot of that has to do probably with she's just so, as a sister, she's probably like, another thing, Sonya, she probably didn't get a lot of, attention growing up, or a lot of recognition, or like there might be slight animosity there, especially for the fact that as a sister, she feels like she's helping Sonya out like a lot. Being there not only for her as her hairstylist, but for her, kid, watching him when she get to fly, from here to Timbuktu with no problem, because you ain't got to worry about, your child being watched, and you ain't struggling with your husband and fighting him on his schedule, to watch y'all's baby, because we know Ross ain't gonna do it. So, they're in there talking about that, and she was like, the sister was, what did she say? She was like, I just find it really crazy, how Ross is, saying something about it, because to him, this may seem like extra, but in the grand scheme of things, it ain't. And the mom was like, they'll realize that soon. And she's like, well, she's like, I try to tell Rossi that, like, do you not notice like what we have? Like, I don't have to pay for, nothing. And then they don't have to worry about the nanny. It's somebody that they trust. It's family members, like that's a huge thing. Obviously, as somebody with a little bit of notoriety, finding, a nanny that you can trust is one of the big things. And so she be like trying to explain to Ross, like, we really got it good. But at the end of the day, Ross feel like I might be taking care of a whole bunch of people, and I think a huge part of that probably got to do with the fact that there's another grown-ass man in his house. Like, the sister's husband, what he do? Because all we keep hearing about is how he keep doing, okay, he was a realtor, then he was a trainer, now he, Sonya's assistant. That's why I feel like we need to dig more into it. I feel like another reason why Sonya's sister kind of got a little triggered when, she said that Ross was ready for everybody to be at, is because she know deep down her nigga ain't got nowhere for them to go if they get put at, okay? I don't think the niggas providing like that. Especially not the lifestyle that, Sonya and Ross are living. So I feel like the sister's a little bit triggered, because it's like, for her, it's like she's going to move on to a lifestyle that, isn't comparable to Sonya's, and that's how they've been living. They've been living real good in Atlanta. But going forward, it ain't looking like that's how it's going to happen, because something's going on there. But nonetheless, the sister was like, you don't see the big gaping hole that's going to be here when we leave is going to be crazy. Because, and it is another huge reason why I feel like Sonya is fighting, for the family to say, is because she knows she's not getting help with Ross. She is deflecting. She can avoid her issues with Ross. With the family being there, she fights with her sister. The sister fights with Sonya. They fight with each other when really they want to fight with their husbands. They use each other a lot of times as a scapegoat and deflection from not being satisfied in their homes and their marriages. Sonya talking about, we supposed to be having another baby. We done missed 4 cycles. That man don't. He want another baby, but he don't. He want another baby, but he don't. Like, he not ready for that. You already say he didn't help the first time, and you felt very alone. And look at what's happening. Like, the shit's happening again. And the sister knows it. She knows that Ross ain't around like that, which is why she can stay with her chest out like, girl, the big gaping hole that's going to be here. Okay. So she's like, that's why I find it real crazy that, you don't want to fight for us. And she was like, well, you said you was leaving regardless. So what am I fighting for? I was like, okay, she got a point right there. Because the sister said, well, since you said that, like, I'm leaving regardless. I said, are you really? Are you really leaving regardless? Let's see if we get to the reunion, y'all. And when Andy asked if the sisters moved out, you think they're going to be gone or not? Y'all drop down in the comments. Let me know if y'all believe down low that the sister and her husband, most of all her husband, if he going to have a new job and be, providing a lifestyle for them. Y'all drop down in the comments. I believe they'll be at the house. So moving on, Kenya, she's building Kenya Moore, like, little hair stylist studios. Super cute. She has her friend Akila. She introduced Akila before, but they're just sitting down talking. She's talking about dating, and Roy, obviously, he's cool for right now, but he's another busy man, long distance, and Kenya already did that with Mark. She was like, shoot, I've been talking to Roy for like a year, and we ain't no closer to getting married, and I married, Mark in 7 months. I said, yikes. I didn't realize like it was only 7 months when she married Mark. Like, oh my God, girl, like you really was rushing to the altar so you could have a baby. I really feel like the only reason that Kenya went on this with Mark is because deep down she was like, even if this goes up in flames, I'll get a baby out of it. And a woman at her age, that's all Kenya wanted was a baby. And Kenya's not the type of woman to have a baby out of wedlock. She's not. So she is understanding this is like, collateral damage of her actions. But I think a lot of it hinged on the fact that she didn't expect Mark to turn out to be the crazy ass nigga that he is. He taking her to court, dragging it out. She done been a wife technically, or she's been dealing with the divorce longer than she actually been married. And allegedly Mark here recently is blaming it on Kenya while the divorce is, being prolonged because she don't want to sign off on the terms. Hell no, I ain't signing off on the terms. Because in your terms, you want me to pay you. And it's not happening. A man who was talking about, oh, I don't need her money. I don't need her money. Like, oh, really? It's amazing how these dudes always talking about, oh, submit to me, I'm a provider and stuff. But yet, you trying to take my money when we not together. Mark is trash. Straight up trash. But nonetheless, she talking about Roy or whatever. He travels so much. So it's just not a good thing for her. Like, Kandi, you need to find you like a banker, a broker, like a real estate, like a realtor, like something where it's pretty local. You need to find you a local job. But yeah, so then she was like, that's why I like you, Akila, because, I told you to come around. I want you to come or invited you is because this group is just so negative, mainly talking about Marlo, because Marlo be bringing the extra sometimes. So she's like, yeah, this girl Marlo, we were, when we were in Birmingham, she like attacked my daughter. I'm like, whoa, attack. Like, come on now. You could say she scared your daughter, but attacked her, strong word, Kenya. But nonetheless, she was right. Marlo, you banging on the door, got my daughter waking up. Like, I really should have slapped your ass the way you scared my daughter like that. And Marlo be doing shit like that, and they be so mad when they come for her after. Matter of fact, no, we'll talk about that later at the end of the episode. So nonetheless, at this point, Kenya is just like, I'm up off Marlo. Like, I'm not feeding into the negative energy, in which Marlo, it's almost like the more they don't feed into Marlo, the more she keeps like poking at them. Like, y'all gonna pay attention to me. And I think that's a big wound for Marlo, because obviously what happened with her life, being a foster child, bouncing from home to home, the things that she dealt with, it's like, I need people to see me. You feel a little invisible. You feel unloved. You feel, abandoned. All these things like with her childhood. And so she has a lot of trauma and triggers she needs to work through. But that don't give you the right to act the way you acting with these ladies, point blank, period. Like, it's almost like she needs them to, like, I need y'all gonna see me. Y'all gonna hear me. And if y'all don't acknowledge me, then I'm gonna, go kicking and screaming. And that's what children do. Also, when they want attention from mommy and daddy, when you want attention, you throw a fit. Marlo, you too old to be throwing fits now. That's the thing. So yeah, Kenya was talking about that. So moving on. What else happened? Stupid little scene with Drew and Ralph. They dribbling. She's talking about, the fight with Marlo. She's still doing this stupid lie about, oh, we from Chicago. We can't say shooting. And whatever lies you tell. I think she said incident because she didn't really want that business. I think maybe she possibly talked to Marlo about bringing it up, and then when she got in the moment, she backpedaled the coochie pop because she wasn't really about that life to just be messy all out like that. So I feel like that possibly could have been a thing of what made Marlo feel like, why is nobody saying shooting? Like, you want it to happen the way you want it to happen. Like, if it's brought up, like, okay, the word shooting, like, you're particularly using the word shooting because you're trying to make it a point to go after Kandi in a way that brings negative attention to her restaurant. Yes, it was a shooting, but, like, that's not the sitting there needing Kandi to sit there and acknowledge it, quote unquote. Like, it has nothing to do with your nephew, in my opinion. It don't. But nonetheless, Drew and Ralph, they doing good right now. Like I've always said, anytime a couple comes on the season and they're hitting you with the we've been better than ever. This is the best we've ever been. We're better than ever. Just know they marriage is in shambles, is about to go up in flames. I watched Housewives, any franchise, whatever franchise it is, long enough to know when them words come out, this is the best we've ever been. Divorce is right around the corner, okay? So Kandi, she's, with Todd, she's like, like she said, Todd, he's been focusing on me. So the past, I guess, is a movie he's been writing, working on for about a year now. And, she's trying to do her best to support him. I love Kandi and that curly hair with the braid back. Super cute. But she called Kenya and, Kenya was at, I guess, a birthday party. She sent Ace and Blaze over there. And so they started talking about like Courtney inviting them, to the little team building thing or whatever. And she was like, well, yeah, Drew mentioned something about Marlo saying, like somebody getting shot that used to work for you and her nephew, like, you didn't say anything. She was expecting you to like send flowers or something. And so Candy's like, here this bitch go again, like always coming for me. Like she's like, we done talked about like, and then it's so fake. She's like, this girl's so fake because like now you bringing it up. You ain't had a problem with me. Like this whole time we done seen each other. You ain't said nothing. Now she like pissed off because here it is, another person like coming to her about what Marlo got to say. And so she's like over it. She is over it. OVER it. We see this fake ass thing with Marlo and her nephews. Boy, I hope her, well, I mean, I guess she taking care of her nephews, but they need to get a piece of the pie because your nephews is working overtime for you, Marlo. Because if it wasn't for them, girl, your little scenes would be bleak, okay? Speaking of another bleak scene, Sheree and her tall ass son, Cairo, he walk in the house looking like a piece of asparagus. Cairo is attractive, but I know this sounds weird to say, but why he got like a dumb face? Like, it sounds weird saying it like that, but like his face almost screams like dumb jock, like he's struggling to think. I know that sounds crazy to say, but like just look at his face. He just looked like he has the face of confusion. Like that's the only way I know how to say it. But nonetheless, she said my son came in and just stood there, and I was like, what? Spit it out. And he was like, I got a baby on the way. She's 4 months pregnant. So he obviously, wasn't prepared for the baby. I'm assuming, the girl he was either a situationship with and then she got pregnant, that's the girlfriend, or she was the girlfriend and she got pregnant. Of course, she ain't black. But the baby was cute. Baby named Mecca. They did a little cute little ornament, like clay handprint thing. But Sheree did get emotional talking about like, she of course was worried about him because she's like, when he first came to me, they're like, I don't think he was ready for a child, but to see him step up, after obviously how the dad was, Bob, his old big cross-headed ass, cross-eyed self, boy, Bob was cockeyed, eyes cocked like a pistol, nigga sweated like a goddamn crackhead in church, just sweating all the time. But yeah, Cairo, he's stepping up. I hope he continues to step up because it's not just about now. It's about continuing to do so. Especially when it get hard, like continuing to do so. Because when it start getting a little sticky and hard, niggas check out. Okay? That's the truth. But yeah, Sheree, ain't nothing going else with Sheree. Like, Sheree's another one that we can, ain't nothing cut that off. Like, we can cut Sheree off too. Like, it ain't nothing going on with Sheree. She has finagled and finessed Bravo long enough into, she finessed Bravo with that She by Sheree. She really did. She really, really did. Boy, she threw that fashion show together last minute to be able to be on Bravo. And she's continued to finesse them again because you ain't got shit going on in your life. But last but not least, we get to the event. And the ladies, all start showing up, and Kandi show up, and she couldn't even try to like fake talk and be happy for everybody. She like, you know what, Marlo, I gotta get this off my chest, or I ain't gonna be right. What's this about? You saying you mad about the nephew or whatever. So Marlo's like, okay, you and me, Drew, let's go start a talk over there. So Candy's like, what is it? What's the problem? And so she's like, well, this is how it started. So she started going way back to when her and Drew, were yelling at each other, and then how she was upset that she was like, I don't understand how when every time it's me, when it's Marlo, y'all have no problem saying what it is. It's, oh, I slashed a girl's face. Oh, I'm a convict. I'm a criminal. I was arrested. But then when we get to talking about you, it's, oh, it's the incident. Everybody's tiptoeing around it. Nobody wants to say shooting. And so Kandi's like, wait, like, yo, this has nothing to do. And Marlo's like, wait, just a second. So, I because she's like, I'm working on listening, Kandi. So then she was like, and then with Drew, we were going back and forth, and I just sit there and I said, you know what, just shut up. My nephew was shot. And she was like, he used to work for you. And Kandi's like, I acknowledge that. Like, he wasn't working for us at the time when he died, but I told you I never said that he didn't work for us. And so she's like, my problem is you're sitting there trying to take a negative situation and tack it on like it has something to do with, the shooting at the shop, and it don't. And that's Marlo. Oh shoot, I forgot about the scene with Marlo and her friends, but she was explaining to her friends essentially that she didn't even know it was still bothering her. Okay. And that it was her family that said something to her that made her, I guess, feel some type of way. And what make me, like, it really makes me feel like the family felt that because he worked at OLG, Kandi was supposed to, I guess, give a little condolence money, like, okay, send flowers. Could Kandi have sent flowers? Yes. Okay, we'll give Marlo that. If she felt like, okay, I've been around you, you know me, it's my nephew. Could she have sent flowers? Yes. But because she didn't, now you're going into doing all of this. Now you're trying to come at her about a shooting at her restaurant because she didn't send flowers? Marlo, that don't go together. So she is admitting like, oh, it triggered her because it's like, oh, Kandi don't never want to acknowledge nothing. Oh, all she want to ever talk about the nice stuff because she didn't acknowledge the shooting, it brought up how she didn't acknowledge her nephew. First of all, there's a difference between acknowledging something that's a legal situation, and Kandi said it's not that Kandi didn't acknowledge it, she just didn't speak on it, okay? So I don't have to speak on something. That's the problem with you, Marlo. You want people to talk on what you want them to talk about. And when they don't, now all of a sudden it's a problem. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman. I don't have to talk about this because I'm a businesswoman and nobody's going to talk about something negative happening at their place of business. But you don't own a business, so you don't understand that. Duh. So yeah, so now Kandi started, she started going. She's like, Marlo, see what you not gonna do, because you always coming for me. You always talking about something negative, and you want to sit there and try to attack on the shooting like it got something to do with me, and it don't. And so now they go back and forth, and all the girls is like, whoa, wait a minute. So Kandi started going, y'all, and Kenya pulled her to the side, and I don't think Kandi knew it was Kenya at first, until, so when she finally looked at her eyes, she was like, Kenya was like, cut it out, like, like, don't do this. And when Kandi said, now let me tell you something, if she pop off, don't touch me, and her little chubby finger, she said, don't touch me, So Marlo over there, Sheree, of course, she team Marlo. Now all of a sudden, Sanya team Marlo. They take Kandi outside, and she like, oh, you want to come for me talking about this negative stuff? She stole the text messages, how back then it was like she was the next day talking about Cameo, trying to get her to help her make some money. Like, it clearly wasn't an issue to you. Now it's an issue. And that's like the fakery of it. Like, oh, if this really was an issue, you ain't bring it up. You ain't talk about it. But you want to talk about it conveniently with the situation that's going on with me at my shop that is not connected. And then Marlo, oh, everybody always bringing up my past, and that's why I can't be vulnerable. Y'all want to bring up how I did this and this. First of all, them heifers don't just bring it up and just for no reason. It's always brought up after you came after somebody. It's never just been brought up to like throw in your face. And Sheree's like, oh, everybody, Sheree, Marlo can't never get a word out without, them bringing up her past. The past don't never get brought up for Marlo until after she's poked at somebody. Not that I recall seeing anybody just bring it up just to bring it up. Like, it's always been brought up in, the heat of a fight. Marlo said something first, antagonized. Like, unless y'all can think of but I can't. So, of course, Kenya and all them, they outside or whatever. Kandi leave. Drew, Kenya, and Sanya come out there. She's like, I don't see why Drew keep calling her aggressive. She's like, she's the only one aggressive. No, was Marlo the only one aggressive? No. Yes, Kandi was going. Drew Drew, she was like, oh yeah, this all started because, the situation with us, she wanted me to stay shooting. And I told her, like, I'm not saying shooting because I'm from Chicago. We don't perpetuate that type of stuff. Everybody was like, okay, Drew, I ain't never heard that shit before. Drew, just say you didn't want to say the word shooting. It's okay. Because Drew, the past season, wasn't really getting on with the ladies like that. She was still kind of an outcast, especially after her and Kenya, beef that season. I think she's just trying to get back in with the ladies, with the in crowd. And so that's why she didn't want to go against Kandi. It kind of would have been going against Kandi, bringing something up like that up. But nonetheless, they outside. And so now Sanya all of a sudden is, Captain Save-A-Ho for Marlo. And so, Sheree been that, but like Sanya, it's amazing how you can stand up for Marlo, but when Kandi asked you, did you stand up for her? It's, when Courtney was talking about she was ghetto, it's, I said something. No, you didn't. So you can stand up for Marlo, but you can't stand up for Kandi? Wow, that's crazy. So Drew and Kenya, they outside talking about how they gonna beat a big bitch up, and then basically the other ladies stay inside and they continue to see if they can make this little game situation work. But we gonna see how this plays out, you guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all tell me how you feel about Real Housewives of Atlanta this season. Marlo going at Kandi. Is Kandi out of line, or is she justified for being pissed off at Marlo? How you guys feel about Sanya? Y'all feel like she flip-flopping? Because I really feel like Sanya is like don't know what she want to do. Like, I need to figure that out, Sanya, ASAP. But y'all make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and y'all stay tuned for Martha's Vineyard. Bye.